Harvey, your first meeting is with Carla Berman. Get there an hour early so you have time to look around and gather questions for your meeting. Follow any leads you can for the Miller report. Good luck and don't trust anyone.
Luke, I am your father.
No, it's not true. It's impossible.
Mr. Miller, is it? We weren't expecting you for another 20 minutes. Not a problem at all. Welcome to Bowman Carson. My name's Steve Crow. Apologies for the protesting outside. I hope it wasn't too hard to get through them. If you don't mind, can you place your briefcase down on the conveyor belt there so I can check it for you? Okay, great. I just need to check through it. Sorry about this. Second. Right, this all seems to be in order. Here's your ID badge. If you could just follow me to the security desk. Great. Doesn't that painting just freak you out?
Ah, Mr. Miller. We didn't expect you so early. Let me just print your agenda. Give me a second. Your first is... speak of the devil. Carla, this is Mr. Miller from the Turing Post. You have a meeting today, I believe.
Yes, of course. A pleasure to meet you, Mr. Miller. Is it that time already?
No. Mr. Miller is just fashionably early.
Good. For a moment I thought I was running behind. I'll be ready in my office for our meeting as scheduled. I have to run, I'm afraid, but we'll speak soon. Thank you, Dan.
Righty-o, Carla. Right, here's your agenda.
Great. Why don't you read that over and put it in your briefcase for safekeeping?
I suppose that's everything from me. If you need anything further, you know where I am.
Everything dated the 10th of the 4th, 1987, the day of the attack, has been boxed and archived and still needs reviewing. The phone records were particularly interesting to me. I've looked through about 20% of all the files I've collated as of yet, and I'm not sure exactly how much more I'm going to find. I'm certain I wanted something big, but I fear it's going to take me a lot longer than I have to find what I need.
Steve, there's been an alarm set off. Can you go check it out?
What is it this time?
All I care about are the events leading up to the night of the attack. Now, I have to ask. You said that your husband and Charles Bowman drafted the act. How was Michael involved in this? Take your time.
As far as I knew, Michael was the one dealing with interviewing the immigrants.
Hey! Why are you here? Okay, that has to be something.
Access denied. Please enter PIN. Please enter PIN. Code accepted. Access granted. Please enter PIN. Code accepted. Access granted. Please enter PIN. Code accepted. Access granted.
Mr. Miller, you really shouldn't be in here. Mr. Miller, you shouldn't have access to this room. Can you please leave? Mr. Miller, you need to leave immediately.
Oh, what an idiot. Stop running.
Right, thank you. Hello again. Something move over there. I'm so glad the workmen aren't in today.
Hiya.
Forget it. This can wait.
Nations and oceans and everything in between. It's not a sleazy night. It's not a week long fight.
Carla, 10 days. 10 bloody days. How the hell could you have kept this from me? I swear to God, my family are going to be deported because of you, and I could have done something about it. Why the hell didn't you tell me? Why the hell didn't you tell me? This is your fault. Everything that happens next is your fault.
Hi, Mr. Miller.
Please insert token. Please insert token.
Harvey, I've been going through more of Alex's interview tapes. I found something quite alarming that seems to have been very quickly dismissed. He says his keycard was stolen earlier on the day of the explosion. He said he tried to log it with Carla Berman. I'm not sure how frequently she leaves her office, but if you can somehow gain access, you may be able to find evidence linking her to Alex's keycard.
Access denied.
I'm not ready for our meeting yet, Mr. Miller. Can you come back later?
floppy disks detected.
Alex was told that his family was already gone, but actually they were still a day away from being processed. All Charles had to do was make a phone call and he could have had his whole family released without any paperwork.
So Charles Bowman was lying to Mr.
No, I don't think so. I think he was just
withholding information.
I think it was just negligent. He's not an inherently bad person.
So why didn't Charles Bowman try harder to sort it out?
This is where it gets complicated.
Floppy disk detected. Attention. Floppy disk corrupted.
Yes, thank you. We're currently circling above the Bowman Carson facility, and I can tell you that the atmosphere is tense. People from all over the country have come here to know that their voices will be heard. But with the discussion on the Union Act looming, is it too little, too late? We'll keep you up to date as the day goes on. I'm Richard Potter. You're listening to BBC News. Stay tuned for more.
Come on, I just don't have the patience. Hiya, Harvey.
supposed to be in here? Come on, Mr. Miller, out. Oh, I don't have the patience to deal with you today, Mr. Miller. Please, get out. Right. Thank you.
Everybody gets joined in. Can't wait to start a party.
Hiya, Mr. Miller.
Fletcher, a rare gem of a find in the modern art world, beginning his life in the small town of Pinwheel on the south coast of England. This marvelous artist led a rather troubled childhood. After a long haul working in the southern tin mines and 2 tours in the army during World War II, Fletcher decided to return back to his old home and his long-lost town.
Harvey, I just received an anonymous fax. Do you know where the Turing meeting room is? It seems as though Alex Dubois may have hidden some information in there which proves the Bowman-Carson group are intentionally inflating figures based around the Union Act. If you're able to find the evidence, it may help inform the public about what the truth is here. I'm sure Carla Berman may have a thing or two to say about those figures, since she's the one spreading them in her print media. Anyway, let me know what you find.
Alright, something just moved over there.
Hello, Mr. Miller. Please, come in and take a seat. So, I gather you've got some questions you'd like to ask me. I'll do my best to answer them. Shall we begin? A vendetta against him? Well, that was blunt, but honestly, I'm not surprised. I wondered if you'd bring this up. It's rather troubling, but Alex and I never seemed to get on. And on the night of the attack, he threatened me. I didn't want to make this publicly personal, but it looks like he has anyway. Yes, he left me a voice message. He was very angry about something, and he took it out on me that night. I have no doubts in my mind that man is guilty of everything they say he did, and I'm frankly amazed that anyone would stand up for him. No offence. Well, you have done your research. I feel bad for what happened to Alex. I really do, but I can't be held responsible for every little action taken. It may have sounded like Alex was the victim, but I can assure you, I felt very threatened by his message. You heard what he said. Everything that happens next is because of me. And we all know what happened next. Well, you don't sugarcoat your words, Mr. Miller. But tell me, what do you think about it? So you think I'm overreacting to his message? Perhaps. Should we move on? Is that what he said? That his keycard was stolen? Well, I don't think there's any way I could confirm or deny that for you, Mr. Miller. I'm not even sure what that would have to do with me. I don't believe it was stolen, so it would be futile for me to try and answer that. We were all responsible for our own key cards and security logins. Actual keys aren't used in this part of the building. It's all very cutting edge, so anything like that would have been solely down to Alex. That just seems like conjecture to me, Mr. Miller. It sounds far too convenient to say that he logged it as stolen on the day that it happened. If that's true, then where did he log it? At what time? Wouldn't security know about that? I'm sorry, but it's all a little too convenient for me. I wish I could do more. I really do, but unless you have a point, then I can't help you with that. I really don't understand that man's mind. He's hell-bent on dragging this company's name through the mud. Out of curiosity, what was his evidence? And I suppose I hid that from the police, did I? Well, like you said, there's no evidence at all. Thank you for your honesty, at least. He thinks I'm lying. That's not really news, Mr. Miller. I think anyone in the country could have told you what Alex thinks about what we do here. He has a twisted view of things. Out of curiosity, what is it he thinks is so bad about the act? Well, this is getting far-fetched. And I suppose I'm the one lying to the country. Don't answer that. I'm sorry, but I have to deal with this kind of accusation day in and day out. I guess it's an occupational necessity. If by propaganda you mean the important work I do here, then I'd ask you to be a little bit more respectful of the current political climate, Mr. Miller. We are very thorough with our work here, so I'm sure whatever you think you found will be easily cleared up. I make the posters and advertising materials, but I'm not in charge of the figures that make them up. For that, you'd have to speak to someone like Chance Crow over in the Meta Centre. Let me ask you something, Mr. Miller. You've heard the protesters, you've seen our work here. Do you believe the Union Act is good? Frankly, I'm fed up of having to defend my views on the matter. I'm sure you're going to write a very compelling story about us, whichever side you choose to fall on. I hope you realise that misleading the country is the easiest way to pull it apart. I don't believe that's what I'm doing, and I'm sure you don't either. Let's hope you have a productive afternoon here and can see what it is we're trying to create. That poster is designed to inspire the people into believing. I'm sorry, I'm not going to play this game. I'm good at what I do, and that's that. I believe I've said all I have to on the matter. Did I? A few things around here probably still use keys. It's outdated if you ask me. You won't find anything in the facility that uses them, though our security protocol won't allow them. But I think the older areas still have the old-fashioned key and lock. No. Marlon Thornton, the cleaner, he's the only person who uses them for stock rooms and locker rooms, you know. Oh, that reminds me. If you're over at the Meta Centre later, you should take a look at the old Victorian baths. They're going to be knocked down soon, so you should take a look there before you go. No, they're just quite nice. I tell you what, I'll ask Marlon to open them up for you later on. If he's got time, then they'll be open for you when you go and have your meeting with Chance Crow. Anyway, he says he wasn't in the building. Well, I don't know how he'd be able to back up that claim. The police found him not too far away from here, that's true, but it was within walking distance. He could have easily got where he did in time, and there's a whole bunch of other evidence. I'm sorry, I just don't see how he thinks that's going to hold any weight. Like who? No, I don't think so. I think it's quite cut and dry. I can't imagine someone else over in the Meta Centre doing it. They like to sound like they know what they're doing, but most of them are incompetent. I know for a fact that some of them use their room number for their alarm code, for God's sake. Does that sound convincing to you? Alex was the only one who really knew what he was doing, and anyway, it's like I said, there was more evidence, wasn't there? Well, for example, the argument we had the night of the attack. Alex and I were having a heated discussion that night. I know that's somewhat anecdotal, but to me it's as good as gold in terms of evidence. Wouldn't you agree? That must be a mistake, surely. I was sure... Maybe now that I think about it, I mean, that could have been earlier, perhaps. So, he was calling from outside the facility? It's hard to remember that night clearly now, but there it is. Does it really? I mean, it just shows that he could have just... I don't know. Well, I don't know where you got those phone records, Mr. Miller, but I'm not sure how they can help. I don't think I've anything else to add on that point. Nothing comes to mind. Excuse me, what? I didn't say anything about an alarm code. Oh, I'm sorry. I think I must have misspoken. Everyone in the Meta Centre is very careful with their security. I wouldn't... well, let's not dwell on that. No, it was another office. Can we please move on to a different subject, Mr. Miller? Don't you have something about my work that you'd like to ask at all? Okay, Mr. Miller, that's all I've got time for, I'm afraid. Can you please see yourself out?
Hi, I'm home.
Because we don't want our hands tied by the law every time we have to make a decision. But we won't be long. Just remember one. The world is changing around us. I agree. I have no idea why you're still wearing the same clothes you were wearing in the 70s. I'm not going to change your mind on this, am I?
Molly, you'd better be in bed when I get up there.
Coop, will you talk some sense into your husband, please?
Well, I'm staying out of this one.
Right. On that note, I'll see myself out.
You and Carol still here for Sunday dinner?
forget to pass that phone on to Sarah in the morning, okay?
Wouldn't miss it.
Well, Mr. Miller, thank you for being so respectful of the rules in our facility. You wouldn't believe the amount of people we have to tell to leave staff-only areas. I hope your meeting with Miss Berman was productive. Your next meeting is with Chance Crow very soon. Feel free to take a wander around in our gardens. I'll be waiting for you over in the Meta Centre when you're ready to begin.
Right. I know most people couldn't be here today as it's the weekend, but I just want to thank everybody who was able to make it in. I guess I should start by saying that we will not be intimidated. That we will not stand without a fight. The people who stand against us, they don't want change. In fact, they fear it. And they won't stop until we fear it too. I'd also have to say that...
Oh, not this again.
Yeah, sorry. I have a letter here from Mrs. Foster. Many of you may have known her son, who was sadly lost in the attack. She writes, My son was many things to me, and to those who knew him best. A loving brother, a good friend, and someone to make you laugh when times were at their hardest. I do not know all of you the way my beloved son did, but I like to think that all the things I saw in him, you also saw on a daily basis. Aaron wasn't the only person to be taken in that blast, but he is the only one I could talk about with any certainty. And that is to say this. He died knowing that every one of his colleagues will not let his death have been in vain. That the family he raised will not live in a world devoid of the presence of his actions. That his deeds whilst alive will live on through all of us in his death. And that we would not falter to do justice to his memory. To the memories of all the families affected in this terrible time. I do not know all of you the way my beloved son did, but I think fondly of you all, and I cherish the kindness you've shown our family in our time of need. Kindest regards, Jennifer Foster. Now, if we could all bow our heads, we'll observe a moment of silence.
That photo was taken the day before it all happened. How fragile a life can be. It can all shatter in an instant. The server room that held all the information. Destroyed. If only it had been that easy. What was Michael even doing in there? He shouldn't have been. He should have come home from work, put Molly to sleep, and we should have been eating a curry on the sofa with a glass of wine, for God's sake. Looking back at where I started that night, I should have come back here to prevent it from happening. Oh, it was so close. I asked myself that 100 times. I've been through every scenario. What if things were different? Or what if I'd made different choices? I couldn't understand it at the time. How had it come to this? We were talking about the future. That seems so stupid now, doesn't it? There's no way I could have known. This would hopefully help me find my way a little better. Some of the security was still engaged. All lives lost. James, he was round for dinner with Amy just 2 days before all this happened. So much fun. In the basement. And cry out for help as Michael would pretend to be a tiger stalking him. Entire floors torn into one another.
said Michael was found in. Did I cause this?
Magnetic data found.
Lives ruined. Torn. They woke up that morning, went to work and never returned.
Found.
Michael's towel's still sat on the floor where he left it. I can't bear to pick it up.
Magnetic data
He should be the one doing it. I always told him to clean up after him. I climbed. A nail, it tore my jumper. Can you believe it? My husband was found in the room next door, and for a split second, I actually paused to care about a torn jumper. Trapped. No exit. And they said all the metal was burning hot. Did he suffer? That's the not knowing, isn't it? That's what really haunts you. The Silhouette server. Somehow it had survived the blast. The irony of it wasn't lost on me. The disc was lodged in the pneumatic system. I thought about Michael, in his last moments, struggling to get to it. Pulling the cartridge out took me back to that night. The deep thud. The loss of power. Loss of hope. Burying Michael twice was almost too much to bear.